Well, good evening, everyone. This is quite an honor, wow, to represent almost 470,000 Army and Air National Guardsmen. And I thought I would spend a little time this evening and really tell you who they are today. But before I do that, I really do have to salute both Kathleen and Al for their great work with the foundation. Truly, to put this together tonight and the video, as you just saw, I mean, I feel like I should just come up and say thank you and walk off the stage. It was such a great honor to see the men and women in that video, how it reflects what we do today in the Guard. But also I wanted to thank the Board of Directors, because behind every great leader, there's a lot of people working hard. So thank you, Board of Directors. To the members of the International and the Congressional Honorary Committees, thank you for what you do. And I'll mention one here who's a good friend, and he still talks to me even though I was involved with his mobilization many years ago. Congressman Steve Womack was a colonel, a mayor in a city in Arkansas, and he was one of our first units to mobilize and went off to the Sinai early on so that we could actually put more forces on the ground in Afghanistan. He took a mission there in the Sinai in a very short order. Congressman, thank you for being here tonight and for the great work that you do for all of us. Ambassador Boran, thank you so much. I can't tell you what it means to me to be able to visit your country and to see the partnership that we've built. And General Mike Edwards and I, when we visited in April, to see the stress on your citizens, but the leadership that your royal family as well as your military, General Marshal Zabin, and how he hosted us. And we went out and saw the National Guardsmen that were working there with him. And I would tell you that partnership, the Chief of Defense was so proud of, because the day we were there, they had worked with the Colorado Army National Guard. And General Zabin said, I don't want any of my officers near the cannon we're about to fire. And they were about to fire a HIMARS cannon for the first time with a 100% non-commissioned officer team. And he was so proud that they were able to accomplish that. But again, it was the partnership and the relationships built between the Armed Forces of Jordan and the Colorado National Guard. So, Ambassador, thank you so much, and please pass on to the royal family and to General Zabin my best. Secretary Fanning, 690,000 men and women that you represent. And I will tell this audience that exactly what he said couldn't be more true. They invite me to their Air Force 4-star conference, and I go in Army Green, but I'm the only Army Green 4-star sitting there. And they talk the total force like no one has ever talked it before. They've created models that I've never seen before to find the right balance between active guard and reserve. And J.J. Jackson's here, another good friend. And the partnership we have is truly phenomenal. But it's the leadership, the top three leaders of the Air Force that make this happen. Eric, thank you so much for your kind words, and thank you for what you do for our 690,000 airmen every day. You heard my governor, and that's something that's unique to the National Guard, that even as a 4-star, I had to be nominated by my governor. It goes back into our constitutional history. And Governor Nixon nominated me for general officer as a 1-star and on up to 4-star. But I would tell you that his words, you could almost put a uniform on him. And he's been so dedicated to the National Guard and serving on the Council of Governors. He has set the stage for the future of the Guard and to continue to progress as we come out of 13 years of war. Who knows when we may actually come out of that. But he's been very active within the Department of Defense at setting the stage for our men and women. Back home in Missouri, he's established a Show Me Hero program where he's worked with 4,300 veterans organizations, individuals, and they've hired 7,200 veterans, active Guard reserve, coming home and put them to work. And that's just the start. And I'll tell you a quick story. He mentioned he made 4 visits to Iraq, Afghanistan, Kuwait. But before his last visit, I ran into him at one of the Council of Governors meeting, and he looked at me and he says, I gotta go to Afghanistan. I've got a unit there. You got to figure out, he says, they're putting some moratorium out there. You got to figure out how to get me there. I got you in that job, you better figure it out. But that's many, many, many of our governors. That's who they are today. They have watched their men and women go off to war and return. And in some cases, he's been there with the families of the fallen over and over. And they have across the 54 states, territories, and the District of Columbia. Recently, I traveled, actually last week, I traveled, went overseas to Afghanistan, to Israel, and stopped in Latvia. Three very unique places in the world right now, if you think about this. And in Afghanistan, I visited our troops, I visited our active brothers and sisters, and I saw the great work they're doing as they hand over this security mission to an outstanding Afghan security force. And they just ask that we continue to stick with them a bit longer as they build processes for their military. They know how to fight. They are tough fighters. Now they need some time to build acquisition processes and training and doctrine processes. And we in the National Guard, through our partnerships, want to continue to assist with them. In Israel, as I visited with the Israeli military force, as well as the Home Front Command, which is kind of a sister to what the National Guard does. And you know, they just went through a really tough battle. But we've partnered with them in a way that I don't think any other countries do, where we've taken our chemical, biological, nuclear, radiological capability that we have in the National Guard today, and we share ideas and we train together. And the Home Front Command brings their tech rescue teams to the United States. And while we're together, we learn from each other. But what Pat and I learned on this last visit, and we went down near Gaza, was how resilient the people of Israel are. And so we're trying to adapt some of the resilience that we learned about there, and how do you put that into a population so when you do have a disaster at home and you've got to respond, people have to step up first from themselves and helping their neighbors. So we're learning a lot from the Israeli military. The last stop, though, which was very unique today, if you think about Latvia, and while I was in Latvia, I visited with the Chiefs of Defense of Estonia and Lithuania, three of our state partners. And every one of them said the United States stepped up to help us when our neighbors to the east started causing some problems. And not only that, they were some of the first state partnership programs, which you've heard about here tonight, that were formed 21 years ago. Those same partnerships today are training together, and we are reassuring those NATO partners that we are there for them. And while I was there with them, an Army unit out of 1st Cavalry Division, Fort Hood, Texas, fired an M1 tank. And you would have thought it was one of the most historic things that ever happened in Latvia. But they were so happy that that American flag on that M1 tank out of Fort Hood, with their Guard partners standing there, helped them understand that we are reassuring them that we will continue to be partners in NATO. So I share these thoughts with you because the men and women of the National Guard make all of this happen every day. Close to 470,000. As some of the folks spoke about tonight, in just about every operation in the world, the men and women of the National Guard are there. And when I joined many years ago, we had great people. We didn't always have the resources, the equipping, the training that we needed at the time. Today, we have great people. We have resources, we have experience, we have equipment, and now we just need to keep it going because the National Guard is a unique force, and I think it's right for America now more than ever. So on behalf of every Guardsman, I'd like them all to stand up. Thank you, NDU Foundation, for this prestigious award, and we will always be ready and always be there. Thank you.